Greetings gastronauts, this is KeefCooks, I'm Keef, and today I'm going to do a special cake for the Queen's Platinum Jubilee. That's 70 years, oh yes. Before that happens, shout outs to a couple of new Patreon patrons, David Seddon and Hedge. Thank you very much, I really appreciate it. Yeah, a couple of weeks ago I made the official Jubilee, the massive trifle that took 2 days and nearly killed me. So today I'm doing a simpler version. It's based on classic Victoria sponge, which is kind of apt because that was invented for, well, it was named after Queen Victoria, who really, really liked this cake. But it's my take on it. So it's got a lot of cream, it's got a lot of colour, and it's got a lot of fruit on top. And it should be quite straightforward and quite easy, he says. If you enjoy this video, give it a like, share, subscribe, etc. Ring the bell, ding-a-ding-ding. And let's get on with it. Jubilee Victoria sponge cake. Oh yeah. So here's my plan for the cake. It's actually 1/4 of the flag, the top right corner. And just an aside, generally people call it the Union Jack. And I've always thought that was incorrect because that's a naval term and also it's used when the flag is flying on a building that the Queen is in. But that's not necessarily true, so you can call it the Union Jack. Or if you want to appear to be a smart ass, you can call it the Union Flag. Anyway, it's the flag. So what we've got on the left and the bottom is 2 or 3 rows of raspberries, and also this diagonal is a row of raspberries as well. And then the blue triangles are blueberries, and in between that, all the white is Italian meringue. I was going to do it as blobs, but I've seen photos of people who've done this kind of thing using blobs of meringue. It doesn't look great, so I'm just going to use flat strips. Probably. We'll see. Then from the side, we've got a red sponge on the bottom, we've got a blue sponge on the top, and then that will be a row of raspberries again. And in the middle, a load of whipped cream and maybe some jam. And then maybe some coloured buttercream to make these bits of fruit stick on. In fact, there will be, because they'll just roll away otherwise. Now, because it's a special occasion, I've treated myself to a couple of new cake tins. They're a bit large. They're, well, 22.5 centimetres square and 4 centimetres deep. So even though they're brand new and non-stick, you still need to line them with paper, greaseproof paper. And I'm just going to cut the corners so that they'll fold properly. And we'll just put a little dollop of butter in each corner, and that will help the paper stick. And also this excess paper will help you get the cake out without breaking it. Now you want to heat your oven to 160 degrees Celsius for a fan oven, a convection oven. That's 180 for a normal one, and that is gas 3. I won't do it now because it's noisy. The ingredients for your cakes, I've got 335 grams of sifted caster sugar, powdered sugar. I've got 335 grams of self-raising flour. I've got 335 grams of unsalted butter, and that's been in a low oven for a bit, just to soften it but not completely melt it. I'm glad you reminded me, you want 6 eggs at room temperature. I never keep eggs in the fridge, but I believe Americans really have to because theirs are a bit dodgy. 3 tablespoons of baking powder, some vanilla essence or vanilla bean paste or real vanilla if you can, and 75 ml of milk. Also my lifetime supply of blue food colouring and red food colouring. I've actually had, I don't know how long I've had these, but 2010. But they're still going strong. I will never use all of this because it's very, very potent stuff. Okay, mixy. So we need to cream together the butter and the sugar. And when it's done, it should be pale and fluffy. Right, let's try again with the paddle. I'm going to break all the eggs into this bowl and mix them together. with the vanilla, whatever you've got. I've got a bit of eggshell in there, so I'm going to show you a little trick. I don't know if you've ever tried to use a spoon or your finger to grab hold of a bit of eggshell, and you just can't do it, it just runs away. So the trick is, get another piece of eggshell, and you just scoop it out, like magic. Now we'll gradually mix in the eggs, just a bit at a time. Now mix the baking powder in with the flour, and add that to the mix. We want to end up with a soft dropping consistency. Now I need to divide this batter equally into 2 bowls. So to do that I need to weigh the whole lot. Right, that is 1280, 1.28 kilos. So I need 640 in each bowl. Okay, that'll do. Now we need to stir in the food colouring. Woo! You can get food colouring in several different forms. You know, it can be gel or a paste, or it can be an extremely concentrated powder. This stuff is unbelievably strong, so I'll just use, well, 1/4 of a teaspoon really to start with. More. I'm happy with that. That's I know it should be quite a bit darker, but I think that'll be fine. Just mix it so you've got no streaks of paler colour, and throw it in your tin. Right, there's my 2 cake tins full of batter, and they need to go in the oven for 20 to 25 minutes. Although they've risen marvellously, I was a bit worried they'd be very flat. I'll just put a skewer in the middle. If it comes out dry, it's done. It's done. That's done as well. So we'll get them out of the tin. Just like that. Now I'll let that cool for a few minutes, and I'll get the paper off it and let it cool completely. Now I'm going to trim my cakes so I get nice flat rectangle. Oh yeah, look at the colour of that. That will make some nice little sort of fairy cake type things. Alright, tricky bit is to try and level off the top without removing too much of the cake. But then I can use some of these other bits to just stick on there with some jam. Alright, that looks pretty good. Chuck it on the Swiss roll tray and then repeat all that process with the blue cake. Now I'm going to make some buttercream, and this will be like our glue to stick the fruit on. I think I might have too much stuff here, so some of it will be red, some of it will be blue. And I've got 100 grams of softened butter, 200 grams of icing sugar, confectioner's sugar, except it isn't because I've run out. So it's half icing sugar and half caster sugar, vanilla extract, and a tablespoon of milk. That's all mixed in, but it's quite thick, so I'm going to add the milk, the vanilla extract, and carry on mixing till it's really nice and smooth. Now I'm going to weigh all my buttercream and then divide it and add colouring again. Okay, that is 290 grams, which is so 145 each. A little bit of blue. And mixy. Now I've got my raspberries, which are lovely, far too many there, so we'll have to eat those later. and also some blueberries. Now the thing about blueberries is that they always look dusty, however much you rinse them. It's just the way they are. So I'm going to glaze them. I'm going to make a sugar syrup. So equal amounts of sugar and water. I'll just whack those on the stove and melt them together. There we go. Sugar syrup. Let's pop all the bloobs in. And then spread them out on a plate in a single layer. I'll start decorating the top now. I'm not stacking it onto the bottom bit because that involves a layer of whipped cream and I don't want that to get squashed before we have a chance to eat it. So I will have 2 rows of raspberries on the bottom. So what I need to do is spread that with the red buttercream. Now I want a line of pure white across there and diagonally, and so I'm going to use Italian meringue for that. Now, as if by magic, we've got some Italian meringue mix, which I spent about an hour making. I'm not going to show you how I made it because, well, you'll see what happened tomorrow. So it's the next day. Oh look, my pennant's gone. I made these myself because there is actually a shortage of Union Jack bunting at the moment. It seems that, you know, Brits have finally got on board with this Jubilee 4-day holiday weekend. The Italian meringue, yeah, didn't work. It's not set, it's just reverted back to a load of foam, which, yeah, is no good. So I'll get rid of that and I'll replace it with royal icing. So to make icing you need icing sugar or confectioner sugar. So I've been shopping and I've come back with this and I've just realised it's not plain icing sugar, it's royal icing sugar, and you know, it's got a little recipe on the side to make royal icing. 70 ml of cold water and 500 grams of this. That's the whole box. That's going to make far too much. But nothing else, because I've looked at recipes and basically you need egg whites beaten to like stiff peaks, I think, and glycerin. So you can still add a bit of glycerin to this. And what this does is make it less brittle, so you know you can cut it without it shattering into a million pieces, and also eat it without breaking your teeth. This contains icing sugar, dried egg white and anti-caking agent. So that'll be very easy to make royal icing, but I must remember not to use this for anything else other than royal icing because of the egg in it. Oh. I only want a tiny bit, so 50 grams of this and 7 millilitres of cold water, could be tricky, and 3 drops of this. It says 1 teaspoon of glycerin for the whole box, so yeah, 1/10 of a teaspoon. I don't know if that's going to be enough, but well, one way to find out. Mixy, mixy. It's not even touching the sides. Well, this is very strange. I think a teeny drop. And don't forget the glycerin. Oh, I wish this had a dropper. Okay, let's try that. So what's happening here is that as I spread the icing on, it's lifting the crumbs. That's okay. So what we need to do is we'll just do this first thin layer, which is called a crumb coat, and basically it glues the crumbs to the cake. So that then when we do the next layer on top of that, after that's dried, that'll be the proper thick white icing. Now I'm going to leave that to dry somewhat, and I'm going to transfer this to a little tiny bowl and cover it in cling film to stop this from drying out. Now, just to make it look a bit more regal, I'm going to make some crown coronet spikes to go on the corners out of white chocolate sprayed with gold edible glitter spray. Tasteful, eh? So I've got about 200 grams of white chocolate broken into chunks. Put them in a bowl, and I like to melt it in the microwave. Stick it in there, give it 30 seconds, take it out, give it a stir, give it another 30 seconds, take it out, stir it, etc. for 2 or 3 minutes until it's all melted. Now, I had some trouble getting the chocolate out of the tin. I'd done it before, and the Swiss roll tin was brand new, so the chocolate just released like magic, and I thought it would do again, but it didn't. So I ended up having to, well, I wasted quite a bit of the white chocolate. I ended up having to mix in some ordinary dark chocolate, and I lined the tin with greaseproof paper. Right, I think my crumb coat is dryish. Well, it's as dryish as it's going to be, so I want this finished today. So let's apply a thicker coat, see how we get on. Gah, still got crumbs in it. Well, this is a bit of a stinker. You can't see from there, but from here, it's not great. There's, you know, the crumb coat wasn't properly done, wasn't properly dry. This is why I would never enter the Great British Bake Off. Right, back to the cake. I've just had a brilliant idea. I should use white fondant icing for this, and it'll be a doddle. Probably too late now. Ignore those bits of blue that you really can't see anyway. And, you know, on the photograph I'll cheat in Photoshop. Let's try and put the blueberries on. What's this? Buttercream. Okay, I've started putting the blueberries on, so I'm using a needle. You could use a toothpick or some small, those things, tweezers. And I'm choosing the smallest ones to do the edges. Right, there we go. I'm actually quite pleased with that, considering I did have to cut a couple of small blueberries in half to fill gaps, but I don't think anybody would know. Now, cakes like this are normally presented on a sort of foil-covered board, a cake board. I don't have such a thing, so I'm going to just wrap this plastic chopping board in foil. There we are, there's the shiny board, and here's the piece of red cake that you've forgotten all about. So, I'm just going to slather the top of that with seedless raspberry jam. Okay, I'm going to whip some cream, so I've got 300ml of double cream, heavy cream. And put that in there. And 60 grams of caster sugar, powdered sugar. And just whiz them together until you get like medium peaks. And there it is. And be careful not to overbeat it, otherwise it'll separate and you'll start to make butter, which will be very nice butter, but it's not what we're after. Okay, so that is going there. I'm going to pipe it on. Nothing fancy, but I don't want to be scraping cream over the jam. I'm going to pop some blueberries on here to act as spacers so that the top layer doesn't crush all the cream out. Now, a slightly scary thing, I'm going to try and put this on there without breaking it. Oh, easy. Oh no, the top one's bigger, it's wider. But my goodness, look at that, what a thing. That's a cake and a bit, and we still haven't put the crowny bits on. Okay, the chocolate set releases easily. So that's good. What's not so good is, now that I've got the cake assembled, it doesn't look like there's enough of this. Because I wanted to have 2 triangles wrapping around each corner. I can probably do 2 corners. See, kind of like that, but this one's too short now. And every time I touch it, it feels like it's melting. Okay, I'm gonna spray them with the golden glitter stuff. Oh, look at that. And I'm gonna stick it on with buttercream. I'll pop it on. And okay, so we've got a joint here that we really should stick together, and if I had any royal icing left, that would be the ideal thing, but I don't. However, I do have a blowtorch. And be careful with it, because it's very hot and it melts chocolate. Let's just pop a raspberry jewel on top. There we go. That's it. That's done. And now it's sort of taste test time with Mrs. KeefCooks. Hello.
Hi guys.
Red, white, and blue. Like patriots.
This is marvellous.
So we're not tasting that because we're saving it for a street party this weekend. So these are the offcuts. I've just made them up. So they've got all the same elements. And all you got to do is eat them all. And tell me what you think.
Excellent.
Off you go.
Oh, okay. Right, let's see if this shows up how blue it is. I mean, does it show blue on the camera? Can you see?
Yeah.
Anyway, the blueberry. It's got a cockade like the Queen has on her hats.
Made out of golden chocolate.
Oh, that is outrageous.
Somebody's half-inched me raspberry.
It is really good.
Yeah. Got to say it. Lovely jubbly.
It wouldn't work,
Not
would
bad.
it? Posting some to the Queen. It wouldn't.
Damn.
It wouldn't be quite good enough.
Yeah. Anyway.
Well, I think that is fit for a Queen.
Okay. Do we have to sing the national anthem now?
Nah.
Okay.
I'm just going to say, I think it's absolutely marvellous that the Queen's got to her Platinum Jubilee. I think she's a tremendous woman who's done a marvellous job, literally for decades. I don't know how, I don't know where she got the self-discipline from, and she's so nice about it as well. God bless the Queen!
Yay! Huzzah! Thank you for watching, and see you next time.